Yeah, so I'm assuming that some people will be coming to the conference knowing about circular economy, maybe some experts. And I'm just going to assume that some people maybe are discovering the term for the first time. So in my presentation, I just want to talk about what do we mean when we say circular economy? Why is there an issue with resources? Why are we talking about scarcity of resources? And how does that relate to construction? And how does that relate specifically to interior design and space planning, which is what I do. So I have 3 examples. One example of a piece of upcycled furniture, an upcycled conference table that we designed with Extramuros, which is a new conference table made from old conference tables. And then another example is carpet leasing. So for example, the idea of leasing resources versus owning them, which allows for sort of continued value, protection of their continued value throughout the life cycle chain, so that they don't become waste, but that they can become new ingredients for continued lifespans. And then my last example is an actual project that I'm working on between us. I can tell you that it's in Nanterre, and I think you will recognize the project, even though I can't name it. But it's a new siège social, encompassing 5 buildings, 74,000 square meters, and it sort of is the answer to the question: well, how do we do a circular building? How do we do circular economy in interior design? Well, we design for deconstruction. We design for flexibility so that you can reconfigure things without having to intervene and throw things out. And we set goals. So we set goals for recycled materials, for certified materials, and especially for furniture. So for this particular project, they've set the goal of 100% of the workstations being circular, being from the circular economy. So it's very exciting. So that's what I'm talking about. Okay, great. Okay, and Fabrice, how about you?
I'm the Sustainable Development Director for all the WWIRE group. Do you know the WWIRE group? WWIRE is the player in building construction everywhere in the world. And we build about 3,000 new projects per year. And actually we only use today concrete and steel material, and it's not good for the planet. And we want to change our constructive model, and we want to implement a new raw material in our project, especially the wood and many other biosource raw material. And we want to promote reuse industry in our industry, because in our industry in France, we produce per year 40 million tons of waste from building demolition, and the percentage of reuse from this waste is only 1%. It's a big gaspillage today, and if we want to reduce our carbon footprint in the future, it is very important to promote reuse in our industry, because the green energy to produce a new materials is very huge. In the global carbon footprint in our industry, we have 40% of the carbon footprint from material. And the target for the next 10 years, if we want to respect the Paris Agreement, we must divide by 2 our global carbon footprint for the next 10 years, and reduce by 5% per year our greenhouse gas emission. And the reuse is the first step. But the problem with that, we must change our model constructive, we must change our partnership with a customer, and we must change the way of work with architect. And
Fabrice, we just had an event on co-living. Are you able to answer, Lena? It is an important question because because you did give me the title of Saving the Planet. I do feel it is a big concern because of my daughter's 25. So Lena, I have a son 40. So Lena's in between. What are we doing about their resources? Can you discuss that during this? Is there something that you could say? Because you are talking, I didn't know that you did 3,000 projects a year, not talking about all the construction and the infrastructure. And I was just saying, because I had Marisol Agnon from FIN, who is doing co-working, and I had Tanya Bonton, who is the president of Union Investment, because I was selling the Trocadero deal at Place de Trocadero, which is 50,000 square meters. And I was in Levallois. I was going to attend this conference, and they were destroying a building that's maybe 30 years old to make residential apartments. So a little bit, and they were just breaking those windows, Lena. Sorry to say, they were just the bulldozers just breaking those terrible windows. But I would like, so we will mention that. So is there something, are there any statistics? I don't want you so much to go into the furniture, Lena, but maybe about your degrees, because I think the well-being in companies is an important factor. That's really your generation. Your generation really wants to consider having a good life. I was pretty proud of Marisol Agnon because she told me about her project after, Fabrice, you don't know, but I did a book. I'm promoting my book, Audacieux, and Mary's was in it because Mary's was one of my role models. We worked at Crédit Lyonnais together. We were on boards together. And so basically, it's an important transition what we're going through, and I think there's a little bit more spectacular perspective. So is the circular economy, because of what's happening and because of the COVID, and not talking about the recession that we're going to go through, how things are going to change? So I will, can I ask you that question for Lena and her little, what's your son's name, Lena?
His name is Sequoia.
Sequoia, that's right. Yeah, Sequoia, yeah. So can I mention that? Do you have some statistics that you can get back on what Bouygues is trying to do? Or you don't want?
The most important things, if we want change our habits, is to explain the urgency of the situation.
Okay, can you explain that during this? Can you spend 10 minutes speaking about the urgency?
Yeah, because the scientists say we have only 10 years to change our business model. All the companies have only 10 years.
And the United Nations said that in 10 years' time, 1 billion people were going to die.
Yeah. We have runaway, the climate runaway, emballement. And it's a big responsibility for companies and citizens to accept to change their habit. In our industry, the time of circular economy change. It arrived today. We must change for circular economy, not recycle, reuse plus usage intensity, because the majority of buildings today have only 20-25% of our time used by the main user. The rest of the time, there is no people, no utilization for building. It's a big waste, and we must
the far west.
We have to increase the number of hour usage. usage. Like a air company, in fact, we must use a yield management for all building. Yield management consists to find a primary user and secondary user and tertiary user to increase the number of hour in a day with business inside the building.
Okay, so we have 1 minute before we go on. And so Lena, besides, I would like you to describe your titles and your education that you did. I forgot, you are not an architect, right?
I'm an interior architect.
You're an interior architect. Okay. Because of course, I think now today there was just a conference with WeWork, and it was interesting what they were proposing. I think we're going through a major transition. Okay, so we're supposed to start at 35. Do you have a slide with both of them, Audrey? Or we just have each one? Oh, we have Audrey. We do have a slide with the two of them.
Yes.
Yes, this the two of them. Yeah, there we go. Okay, great. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We are at the Circular Economy Conference and safeguarding the planet's resources. I have the great honor to have Fabrice Bonifay, who is the Circular Economy Director at Greek Construction. And I have Lena Lockwood, who is a young woman and also a mother that has carefully studied all of our resources, and that generation, the 20s to 30s, are really concerned about the planet and trying to make in every way highly educated women studying about exactly what is necessary to save these resources. So I will let Fabrice start a little bit, and we'll sort of go back and forth between Lena, because Fabrice, you gave me the title Saving the Planet. And you had expressed the importance of actually really working on that. I just drove past Levallois. I guess I should have been riding my bicycle, but I was driving my car. And there was a 30-year-old building that was maybe 15 to 20,000 square meters that was totally being destroyed, and that they were going to put residential housing. Today in Levallois, residentials are around 10 to 12,000 euros, brand new by the time it's completed. Who knows? And what is this whole concept? The COVID has changed our world. And I would like you to mention about the planet and the next 10 years and how we have to change our thinking. Thank you, Fabrice.
Yes, thank you, Janica. My point of view about circular economy in the building is we have to change our model, our constructive model. Several things to do that. The first, you mentioned that it's very important to accept to refurbish several times building during their life cycle. Today, when we build office building, the building stay office all this life. In the future, I think it's very important to project, to prepare for the building to change their functionality all along the life. And we have invented a big office switch home building. It's a concept building at Lyon Conférence. this building can, the first use is office, but it will be possible in the future to transform this office building in a social housing. That is the circular economy, according to me. Another thing is to accept to build the building in the future like a bank of material. 20% of the global value of one building composed by raw material and different equipment inside the building. But at the end of the life of one building, you lose this value. And I think in the future, it will be very important to maintain the value inside the building, because with a BIM today, with a building modeling, it's possible to have a traceability of each component of the building and prepare the second life for each equipment, each material. And like this, it will be possible to have a bank of material for each building for the future. Another thing is to improve the intensity of usage. Today, the majority of buildings have a global use, a very, very short term, only 20 or 25% of the global time. It's not enough. And we must improve the time, the occupation time. Like the air companies, the obsession for all the air companies is the planes are in air, on air, and full. And for the building in the future, we think the same thing. We must the same approach. We must have to have the same approach to have capability to maintain the building full with the global chronotopy, the chronotopy of the building. And the last thing is to modify the model constructive from raw material. Today, the majority of the buildings in the world are built with the concrete and steels, but concrete and steels is not very good for the global carbon footprint. And we must change by biosource material like wood, like earthen or clay, because it's easiest to transform this material to make another building, because concrete and steels emit too much CO2 emission, and the green energy in the building represents about 40% of their carbon footprint. My approach.
Thank you so much. So Lena, what do you have in response to that? Lena, I would like you to explain, if you could please, your degrees. You went to FIT, which you have mentioned that it is today one of the top schools in America about design, but specifically, we are talking about a change of our economy. Fabrice, thank you. I think the government position has to change, because we need to modify these buildings quickly. We cannot wait for the costs or the PLU or something to change. The buildings have to be more flexible. And so we would like, maybe if you could answer, first of all, about your degrees and why you did all of those degrees and what you are looking to do for the circular economy in the future.
Thank you, Anishka. Thank you for the introduction. And you know, I can only agree with everything that Fabrice said. And I think for me, coming in with 10 years of experience in the field, you know, I am always looking toward the big players to see what they're doing, perhaps to be a little bit of a gadfly in their ear about what else we could be doing. But I think that today it's very easy to point fingers and say that people aren't doing enough, especially when we're maybe not on the same side of the table. But I think it's also really important to acknowledge our colleagues, especially when our colleagues have very big suitcases with them for all the hard work that they are doing. So by that, I need to say also thank you. So I'm an expert in responsible workplace design. I'm an interior designer. I have a master's degree in sustainable interior environments. It was the first such degree in the United States. I'm also a WELL AP, WELL being the Well Building Standards. So I work with clients to come up with strategies for comfortable, responsible workplaces. And I'm also a Living Future Ambassador, which means that I am an ambassador of the Living Building Challenge and the Living Future programs, which envision a regenerative future and a future in which buildings not only consume less, but in which buildings actually contribute to the well-being and to the health of the planet. And I work in the heart of Arpastrance. So we are a B Corp, we're amazing. I can say that, please, right? Please do look us up online. And so to continue on with what Fabrice was saying, why are we talking about this today, and why the circular economy, and what does that have to do with interior design and workplace design? Well, the total volume of construction waste in France is about 42.2 metric tons per year, and 10 of those metric tons are due to interior fit outs. And I get it, when we come upon workplaces like this one I'm showing here, sometimes we just want to rip it all out. None of this seems salvageable. And so we take resources, we make things, and then we throw them away. And this is the linear cradle to grave paradigm. Each year, we reach our Earth overshoot day sooner and sooner. What does that mean? That means that we use up 1.5 times what the Earth can regenerate in resources in just a few months. And that's important, because if everybody wanted to live like Americans, we would need 5 Earths today. And one of our most important goals is to reach no poverty. And in order to reach no poverty, we also need to do that by having responsible consumption and production. In nature, there is no such thing as waste. Waste equals valuable nutrients. And so we need to take that model and apply it to the way we design and to the way that we consume. And so, just as Fabrice was mentioning, an exciting new vision for buildings and design is to see buildings as material banks, which means that you can put together a building that today has one use, and very simply, without having to destroy anything, you can take it apart like a kit, and you can either move it to some other place and do something new with it, or you can just reconfigure it in a place so that a building that today is housing can tomorrow be offices, can the next day, for example, be a medical center. And it's through the use of BIM, just as Fabrice was saying, that facilities managers can actually become asset managers. And so that each carpet, each table, each computer, each ceiling tile, all of those things are actually assets, not things that have maybe a 10-year lifespan and then we're done with them. So you may say that I'm a dreamer, and it's true, I am a dreamer, but the circular economy is already here.
Everybody, Audrey, we're all dreamers, and that's why we're changing the world.
Exactly. So I want to tell you that we're already doing this. Bouygues is already doing this. Arpastrance is already doing this. So this here is, if you can see this picture of this table, this is a conference table that we made out of old conference table, and it has a glorious new life in a marketing suite. We are also seeing the adoption of instead of buying carpet, for example, purchasing the service of carpet, which means that if beige isn't trendy anymore and now we need to go to cool gray, or some part of the carpet is worn out, we continue paying for the service of carpet and the carpet becomes changed out. And what that means is that the manufacturer can recuperate those materials, can separate them and reinsert them into new products with minimal waste. Another example of practice, which is very inspiring to me, is a project that Arpas France is working on in Nanterre. It includes 5 buildings, 74,000 square meters, 4,000 workstations. It houses 10 companies, and we're in 3 years of construction. And the project set some very high circularity goals. So 30% of the construction materials are certified cradle to cradle. Please do look that up if you're not familiar with this certification. And 75% of the furniture is coming from the circular economy, so certified or not certified, locally made, upcycled, and 100% of those 4,000 workstations are going to be from the circular economy. And in addition to those actual products and furniture, we've also incorporated circular thinking into the space plan. So thinking of these buildings as material banks, thinking of them also as, today I have 40 people, tomorrow I'm going to have 20 people, tomorrow our use is going to change, today we work this way, tomorrow we work that way, maybe other people are going to come here and work with us. And so to be able to actually change the way the space is designed without having to take things apart, without having to have contractors intervene, but actually so that the facilities managers or the asset managers can improve or adjust the asset to fit the needs. So I want to say that we can do it, and the market is ready, and I'm inviting everyone.
There's a little Greta.
Come with us.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Greta. Greta, President of Europe.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear Greta. Yeah, I really am very concerned because I was surprised during this COVID. So there has been a lot of discussions about the global warming of the planet, which was in December 2019. And then with the COVID, nobody was really talking about anything. And I really felt that there was a lack of anybody really coming forth saying maybe this COVID was brought upon us not taking care of the planet. And a little while ago, Fabrice, you were talking about this change in 10 years. On the United Nations platform, they had declared 1 billion people are predicted to die in 10 years' time too. And I've asked many specialists, in fact, one gentleman who has had nominated twice for the Nobel Prize, he said, man will have to wait until there's a big catastrophe. Are we supposed to wait till there's a big catastrophe? Or how are we going? Do we have Lena fighting for that, and Greta, which was these are 30-year-old people. Greta was 14 when she started her combat. I mean, what's going on? And I love that. And that speech, I have goosebumps just even thinking about Greta saying, "You've destroyed my life," and she was right. So I don't know. I think we have to really interact. And what can we do more to make the government? I mean, this is serious business. I just don't understand why people are neglecting it. And seeing your building that you showed in your slide presentation is what I just saw an hour ago of a building being torn down with the bulldozers like it was done 50 years ago. So Fabrice, what can we do? And what is Brig doing to change that today?
We must accept to earn less money.
I agree. Well, basically, that's what's going to happen to us in the next couple of years. This is my third crisis. So
we must,
unfortunately,
accept to put sobriety in the first step for all our projects, sobriety and frugality. We must accept to change our habits. We must accept to share all the goods. We must to transform our society. Today we have a linear approach. Tomorrow the approach will be circular. And the best friend of circular economy is a functionality economy. What's the functioning economy? We're going to enter in the economy of usage. The freedom for tomorrow will be to share everything, but we don't posséder. We want to buy all the goods. We must rent the goods. Rent, sharing is the future of business.
Sharing economy. Mm-hmm.
And all the company must accept to change their business model from economy, possession economy to usage economy, because the footprint will be less, it will be better for the global footprint, the carbon footprint, and for biodiversity. Because we have two big stakes. The first is the climate change, and the second one is to preserve the biodiversity.
And Lena, what do you feel about that? What are you trying to do? I mean, basically, there's a change in the careers and the development, and both Fabrice and I have had over 20 years experience. You've mentioned that you had 10 years of experience. What are you going to do to fight like Greta? Do you feel that there is something that you need? How can we help you make people move this better? Because 4,000 people, the project that you were talking about, is a city today. It's a big, very big, beautiful project. It was fabulous.
Yeah, so I think the most important thing today is to take risks, because the infrastructure for reuse, for circular building is there. The knowledge is there. The capacity is there. We are here, an army of believers and thinkers, and we have our Excel spreadsheets and our garbage bins for specific. We're ready to do it. And I think that we're showing it through test projects, for example, like the project in Nanterre, 4,000 people in 5 circular buildings. We can do it, but I think that clients today are afraid. And even you know, you can see it going to the grocery store. You see more and more availability to buy in bulk, but people are afraid to buy in bulk. When we start a project, we can talk to the client. You have all this stock here. How can we reuse some of what you have? Not just throw away, not just recycle, because recycling also has a carbon footprint. And so I think what's most needed today is to accelerate the adoption of the circular economy, and for people to know that all of the tools and all of the resources already exist to do these kinds of large-scale circular projects. And so it can feel scary, it can feel like a risk, but believe in us, we can do it.
Okay, so is there a whole philosophy? I know there's a social responsibility in all companies today. WIRE, of course, is also promoting women because I really feel the sustainable society, there are more and more women presidents in the field. We see that there is a change. Unfortunately, I ran to the gym Sunday because they said they were closing down the gym, and I was surprised because the men weren't attentive of what was happening. You know, there was a Aman, and we could only be 3, and there were 10 people in there. And I'm really concerned that, and we see also with politics, the women leaders. I am from Slovakia, my heritage is from Slovakia. The first woman Slovak president today has 44 deaths with the COVID. She is on the number 1. The women were more protective. The women of states were more protective than the men. And I think this will be the case with the circular economy as well. And so I really would like to give your last word of how you think most importantly will be the women's role and the inclusive role of helping this world that we actually do need to save this planet. So Lena, go ahead.
Sure. You know, I see this issue as an overall inclusion issue, inclusion of not just men and women, but people of different abilities, people of different ages, people of different backgrounds. And so I think that the more people that we can have around the table, the better our ideas will be, and the more successful we will be.
Fabrice,
I agree
please.
with that. Definitely, we must promote mixity and promote more women at the top of the responsibility in all the organization, not only in the company but for the states too. And my dream is to have Greta Thunberg president of European Commission in the next 10 years.
Well, I feel all of my goosebumps. I think you're absolutely right. And I would like to emphasize that the women have greatly suffered during the COVID, and that most importantly, without the woman, the education wouldn't gone through. As I say, I had friends that wanted to homeschool in France, impossible, and all of the mothers were homeschooling with some of the fathers. But this is a major concern. The women's economy, what we call the she economy, is $20 trillion. The women will have, with the recession, will go back 2%. I'm predicting it's more 10% than 2%, but who's counting? It's going to be a major disaster. And I ask all companies to really promote making it easier for women, because they are holding the economy together. They are purchasing 85%. And most importantly, they inject 90% in the community. So I'm very happy. One of a very famous philosopher told me that I needed to listen more and interview more the young people. And he was absolutely right. Lena, you were brilliant. Thank you so much. And Fabrice, thank you for saving the planet, and make sure that one of the largest contractors in the world is doing everything possible to save our planet and our resources. Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you for saving the planet. Thank you.